I know there's a lot of people who probably like want to know more about you, man. Tell us about what it was like, you know, coming up, growing up in Austin.
Yeah, I was born in Breckenridge Hospital. I always tell you about UT campus, you know what I'm saying, Longhorn, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, man, I was born there. I mean, all my life growing up, man, you know, we was like kind of like always moving around. So I didn't really just have like, I'm not that dude like, oh, I grew up in that house. Like pretty much like every 2 years we moved, you know what I'm saying, just growing up. And it's been like that my whole life, even in prison. In prison, these last 10 years, I moved, I've been in 7 different prisons. So, you know, just consistently moving around. I lived all over Austin, the South Side, really, you know what I'm saying? 41, 04, 44, 45. You know, I moved. I had even lived in the East Side for a little bit. I lived out in Kyle for a couple years. So I've been everywhere, you know. But you know, I definitely got the game from the neighborhood. 44, that's where we was at. Me and my boy Milio, and you know, we was just out there, man. He's dead now, you know, he passed away. But yeah, just growing up, man, it was like just me and my mom. My pops was never around. But I was raised by a man since I was 3, Mr. Bruce Siaga. He died last year when I was incarcerated. You know, but he ended up leaving when I was a teenager. And that's when, you know, kind of just got real deep into the streets doing what I was doing. Went into poverty, stuff like that. So like just growing up, I was the only child until I was 9. I had my little brother about 9 years old. So by the time he came, I was already ready for him. But, you know, me just being spoiled, like my mom had a good job when I was a kid. She took care of me the best she could, you know, but like I said, when Dad left, man, we just lost everything. We was homeless, moving, you know, house to house. We lived with different families. Families lived with us, stuff like that. And then in the midst of all that, you know, Mom's trying to provide on minimum wage. You know, going to school, she was gone. So that's when I just started breaking into cars and, you know what I'm saying, selling weed and doing stuff like that. So I was probably about like 14 years old. And that's the time when I got into rapping, around the same time. But like I said, I had got a book, Tupac, The Rose That Grew From Concrete. I started writing poems, but he made them rhyme, so I just modeled it how he did. And man, the dudes I was with, they was rapping, so they was like, man, you should rap, but I wasn't trying to rap. I was like, nah, you know, but I ended up messing around with it, and man, it's just, I guess one day, you know, Moms was like, man, I see you, you know, you always writing and you always doing this, you know. So she was like, man, look, I ain't got the money to do it, but I'm gonna find a studio for you. So we went to she ended up finding a studio across from the landing strip, or I probably ain't even in the landing strip no more, what I heard. The old landing strip, Ted Flores, T-Flow Productions. It was like a little studio across from it, and the storage is in the back. And I had recorded like my first 2 songs. I remember Mom was like, look, man, I can't afford this, but I love you, you know what I'm saying? And I want to support you. So, but if you can't do nothing with it, just leave it alone, you know what I'm saying? And let her tell it, you know, really she was holding the nuts on me. She thought I couldn't do nothing with it. So she thought, you know, like basically like I wouldn't be able to do nothing with the music, so I would just end up dropping it. But man, I started, my first show was in at Rosewood, Juneteenth parade in like 2005. I was like 15, you know what I'm saying? And we went up there, me and my homies, and some dude invited me to his club like on 11th Street downtown. The Victory Grill, I don't even know if it's still there, a dude named Clifford. I went up there, did my thing, you know what I'm saying? And they invited me to another club, another club. I was going to like Spiro's. Back then when Spiro's was open, I won a contest. I beat all these other dudes, you know. That's when I met a lot of people that was rapping now, you know. But yeah, man, after that I started winning contests and getting invited. Mom was like, well, it kind of backfired because she seen all the attention I was getting. And shoot, that's when I just realized, like, man, if I really want to do this music stuff, I might have to step up and do it myself. So I started selling dope, you know what I'm saying? I started like going, like I was already moving in the streets. I was already doing my thing, but now like I had a purpose. I had a plan, you know what I'm saying? So I dropped my first CD, Time to Shine, with my boy Lil Twan from the neighborhoods, you know, and we went half on everything, and shoot, I pressed up a couple hundred CDs, and we were just selling them. I was selling weed and selling them in school. I used to go to Aikens High School, you know what I'm saying? I used to be selling there in AYW off of Woodward and Ben White. I used to ride a bus 27. We stayed on Pino and Palo Blanco every day. So, yeah, man, and that was just kind of the beginning of, you know, how I got into my music, you know. But one thing, though, I always stress about is this, though, like, and even now, like, people, like, what I go to the feds for, like, even in the feds, like, there's a lot of people in the feds that know about me, and, like, you know, I always promoting, like, hey, bro, this, they're like, dang, bro, look like you had everything going on, like, what was you doing, like, and I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, like, I did everything independently. You know, like, people think, because I got affiliation with PIE, like, that they put the money behind me, and they didn't, but what they did do was, like, promote me and market me, because they already had their own wave, you know, and we was just on some real dude stuff. It wasn't, it was like on some street stuff, like, we weren't signing contracts, and you know what I mean? There's some real dudes over there, they was just, you know, that story go deep, because I was in there with Dirty's cousin as my celly. You know what I'm saying? I stood up for him when we was in the States. So it gets deep, but it all comes down to, like, okay, I'm from Austin, Texas, right? The live music capital of the world. With all the promise that I had, right? Everything I had going on, why did I feel all my life like I had to sell drugs to make music? You know what I'm saying? Like, when you really think about it, like, I sat there and I thought about this for years, like, why did I feel like that's what I had to do to make music? When I got locked up in 2015, I was the hottest thing on the streets out here. You know what I'm saying? But I felt like, oh, 44 Ways gonna die if I don't do this, if I don't sell this dope, because I didn't have no financial backing. You know what I'm saying? Other than myself, me getting out the mud, because everything I did on my own financially. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's something I always think about, you know what I'm saying? And then me being the man that I am, is like, now I know that when God show you that there's a need for something, your calling is to be the solution. You know what I'm saying? So that man that I looked for all my life when I was young to come and talk to me and do, I'm him now. Mm-hmm. You know, there wasn't no man that did that for me, that took the time to show me even the wrong thing, even like, hey, little bro, this is how you sell dope. I just went out there with crack in my pocket on bus 27, you know, all the way from Dove Springs to Burden and Old 12 and Riverside, getting off, and hey, man, what's up? You want to rock? I didn't even know how to sell dope. That's why I got all these felonies. But there was no male role model, no leadership, nobody that cared, right? So now that I'm me being who I am, you know, I realized that God's like, you gotta be that man. Like, today I just talked to somebody, shout out Randy, 17-year-old. His mom asked me to talk to him. I took the time to talk to him, show him that, you know, I care. Hey, look, I can relate to you, bro. I know what it is. This is what it is. And, you know, I'm planting these seeds. Maybe he take them, maybe he don't. But at the end of the day, that's what makes a big difference. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, even with the music, like, my thing is, if there's youngsters out there and you want to do this, like, in my heart, like, God enabled me to do what I know he's going to enable me to do, I want to make a way. I want to open the doors. You know, I want to open the doors for the people of the city, community. You know, it ain't even got to be from the city, bro. Just anybody that need opportunity. Because I was him. I was that dude that needed opportunity. And at the same time, I had the pride, like, man, I'm going to get out the mud, and look what it cost me. You know?